What's up, you guys? It's Ivory here, and this is Awaken Empress Podcast, a safe space to unlearn, relearn, and grow from unhealed childhood trauma, narcissism, and spiritual attacks. So, I want to start off with you guys having a better and deeper understanding of what each topic is. So, I went ahead and pieced together some notes on each. To start, the definition of unhealed trauma is the emotional and psychological wounds that can be caused by experiences or relationships during our formative years. Narcissism is defined as a personality disorder that involves an exaggerated sense of self-importance, a need for admiration, and a lack of empathy. Lastly, spiritual attacks are said to be when an evil spiritual force influences, tempts, or oppresses you in any way. These topics are a recurring theme in my life since childhood and well into adulthood. Most of the obstacles in my life come from my family, along with those who work with them. I know I'm not alone, and I want to make others aware how we can overcome so much when it comes to these stuff. So let's unlearn, relearn, and grow into our higher selves and heal our inner child together. Episode 1. Here are some top signs you're under spiritual attack. The first is something that I feel like is very easily ignored, okay? Temptation. We don't really pay a lot of attention to temptation, just because, it's normal. It's classified as normal in this society that we live in today. But temptation of the flesh is very much a spiritual, okay? Because the enemy knows exactly what it is you like, they offer it on a silver platter for you, and they make it easy. And I'm always the type to be like, if it come easy, it ain't for you, baby. You don't never want nothing that come easy. Temptation of the flesh can be sexual desires, drugs, habits, or actions that don't sit well with your subconscious, food, and so much more. It all depends on what the person is really into. I know a temptation for me at one point in my life was smoking a lot of marijuana. I was acting out when it came to smoking, y'all. Like as soon as my brain was like, we want to smoke some weed, I start acting out like I want to smoke weed. And then, and it started putting me in a funky attitude. Sometimes I'd be snapping out on people, very irritable. Another thing, in my early 20s, I drank a lot of alcohol. I was actually trying to escape from, I don't even know at that time, I didn't know what I was running from, but I do know that I would wake up and drink, and I'd be drinking out throughout the day, at work, at home, at school, at play, and I would black out in the middle of to go to bed, and then the next rising I would be starting all over again. So those are just two of the temptations that I had a problem with, and I know that I kept company around me who would validate these temptations as well. So you want to really keep an eye out on your circle and who you have surrounding you as well, like enabling you. I didn't have anybody telling me like, yo, you good? Like, you good? So make sure you really have people around you who are checking on your well-being. Another spiritual attack may be obtaining some power or success that you are actually not ready for at all. So you haven't been putting in any work. You haven't been doing anything to obtain this thing, but it just pops up out of nowhere. Like, hey, we want to give you $10,000 and we want to help you start a business, and but you ain't put in no work. You didn't even apply for this thing, or you know what I mean? It's like a setup for failure. And the enemy does it to a lot of individuals. Just to see, first of all, them, get gassed up, their head gets big. And, like, if your characteristics are not aligned with what the Most High has for you, you can become like very snobby and very uppity and like, I'm better than you. Look at what I was offered and you weren't offered this. Also, the enemy wants to, when they're done using you, to see you crash and burn. So they're going to snatch all that shit right back. And then you're going to be like, low and depressed, and you're going to fall into addictions, and you're going to be doing all of the things that don't align with what the Most High has for you. So quick come ups, selling out. Don't get me started on the selling out. But no. And cheating, stealing, what is not yours. Destiny swapping is a thing that these karmics think that they are able to do, and it's just not. It's not. They can't. Okay. Another spiritual attack can be lack of sense of self. Okay, lacking in sense of self. That's actually how I had it worded. So a lot of mental fog, confusion, exhaustion, dysregulation of emotions, lack of identity, or just some of what this looks like. I know when I was in high school, I literally, for the majority of the majority of my childhood, to be honest with you, I honestly don't know where my mind was, especially in high school, because my first kid's father was just always cheating on me, treating me like trash. And then I go home and my family would be treating me like trash. I go to school and people would be treating me like trash. I basically thought I was a motherfucker. I thought I was a piece of trash. And so I kind of maneuvered in that way. I very much was confused, and like I never really spoke up for myself. I just kind of allowed things to happen to me instead of like sticking up or standing up for myself. Because I was confused about who I was, I kind of let any and everybody tell me who I was. A lot of people pleasing, which caused for exhaustion, emotionally, mentally, physically, especially if, people pleasing turns into, well, can you do this for me? Well, can you do that for me? You're kind of putting yourself on the back burner because you don't have an identity. You don't know who you are. You don't know what you like. And lacking in knowing who you are is very much a spiritual attack, because the enemy doesn't want you to sit with self and like learn yourself and like know who you are. They kind of want you to lack in that area, which leads into our next topic: negative point of view or negative thought process. Lacking in sense of self, lacking in your identity can definitely lead to some negative thoughts, especially if you are not surrounding yourself with the correct energies. So I know for myself, I had a lot of people, and including my family, like just even before I left out my home to go to school or to like go to work or go anywhere like that, I've already had the foundation within my home to like think like I'm nothing, my feelings don't matter. I'm just here to serve other people. I'm here to please other people, right? So my thought process in childhood was, your feelings don't matter. You don't matter. You do what you're told. You're not that great. You're dusty. Your hair's uneven. And so when you hear it so much from other people, then you start to become, or you start to feel that way about yourself. And then those thoughts continue to autoplay in your mind. And not to get too far off a topic, but what you think about is what you manifest. Okay. And that's why society wants us to be operating in fear. But that's a whole different episode. We're not going to go there right now. But negative points of view, intense negative thoughts, loss of hope, loss of faith. All of these things are signs that you are under spiritual attack. Whenever something is happening to you and like something, you have no clue where this is coming from, right? I know I can speak for myself. It's like when I was a child, I always had some sort of like medical issue, like out of nowhere, like it would just come out of nowhere. It's kind of hard to see, and I'm not going to like take off my shirt and show you my back or anything like that. But when I was younger, I I woke up this one rising and like I had white blotches all over my face, all over my skin, everywhere. I was complete. Now, mind you, I had already come from a dysfunctional family. My mother was a hoarder, and she had her own issues. And as a child, I really didn't understand them as much as I do now. But so we didn't have clean clothes. We didn't have water. We didn't have a lot of these things. So I already was set up for failure, wearing dirty clothes, smelling like yesterday. And then I wake up one rising and I have all these white blotches all over my skin. And I'm like crying. I'm having a temperature. Like I'm telling you, like I was distraught. And my mom was like, you're still going to school. So, of course, when I went to school, everybody was freaking clowning me. But it's like, where did this come from? Like, so whenever something is happening to you and you cannot define where the source is coming from, it's 9 times out of 10, it's the you're under spiritual attack, baby. Something's attacking you. Because we went to the doctor. And they're like, we don't know what the hell this is. We can't help you, baby. We can give you some. You know what they offered me? They offered me some bleaching cream. They were like, you know what you can do? You can just bleach the rest of your skin. Yeah. You can just bleach the rest of your skin, make them the same color as these blotches. Make sure not to like put this bleach on top of the blotches. Just go around the blotches. Like that was their solution. I'm in elementary school. I didn't know what the fuck. I didn't know how to feel. Like, I just was like, oh my God. Of course, I did not end up putting that. I did not end up using the bleaching cream. And I ended up actually just accepting the blotches for what they were. But they didn't know either. They were like, well, we can't help you, girl. Every time you come here, you got some different illness that we cannot assist you with. Okay, we gonna give you this bleach and you can figure it out for yourself. Okay. My life, I'm telling you, I'm writing a book right now. So if y'all want to know, go ahead, tap into my ebook. It's coming shortly. When I got older, I found out, or I did some research, and it was like a beauty spell. Somebody was trying to do a beauty spell on me. Okay, I know it probably sounds crazy to people who don't believe in that stuff. Well, it's real. Okay, it's 2025. Get for real. Okay, the spiritual realm is very real. Okay, I don't care what y'all say. I don't care what y'all think. People be out here playing with low vibrational entities, trying to have a field day, and it just the Most High love me real bad. And it didn't work out the way that they had it planned. Okay. But anyway, when you lose your desire to connect. So the next bullet point that we have here is when you lose your desire to connect with the Most High, or you start to covet, you start to desire what other people have to the point where I'm sorry, I'm still laughing about the other one. You start to desire what other people have to the point where you're like extremely jealous and you're like being malicious and you're acting out of body because you want what someone else has. Instead of being happy for them, you're like doing curses under your breath, or you're cursing this energy under your breath, or you're just doing the utmost. Okay. That's a sign that you're under spiritual attack. Some sort of entity is attached to you that's making you fester in that way. Any signs of regression or lack of progression being made, or popping back up, that's a sign that you're under spiritual attack. Isolation. I have this as a bullet point, okay? Because I was doing some research and they said isolation, but honestly, I don't believe. I've been in isolation for like, how old am I? I'm about to be 31 in March. I'm an old head. Okay, but I have been by myself the majority of my life. And even when I tried to fit in, and if you guys read my ebook, I talk a little bit about how I have always kind of been on the outskirts of like different groups of individuals or people in general. It's like everybody thought I was popular because everybody knew who I was, but I never really hung out with groups, individual. Like I don't know how to explain it. Okay. But I've always been very much by myself in isolation. And the reason that they say isolation, let me tell you why, is because it is easier for the enemy to attack you while you're by yourself, right? It's easier for them to get into your mind and for them to penetrate your thought process. However, isolation in a season or two, I feel like is healthy. It's a healthy thing for you to learn yourself so that you can find your identity and whatnot. Next bullet point. We're going to talk more about that later. If you're having nightmares, demonic dreams, if you are waking up with bruises, I know I can speak on this real bad. And I never really understood it, but I would wake up with like bruises all over my legs, scratches all over my legs, waking up in fear, waking up and still being extremely tired. Yeah, those are all signs that you are under some sort of spiritual attack. I also heard something about the sleep paralysis, but I did some research. I've heard different interpretations of what exactly that could be, because one group would argue this is a demon and they're attacking you in your sleep and they're trying to siphon from you or instill fear within you. And another group of individuals, another point of view, another perspective was, this is a test. Okay. And the test is to see if you will allow fear to penetrate you, or if you're going to call on the Most High and remain calm and know and understand you are okay. It's a test, basically. And I know that this happened to me as a child. I shared a room with my younger sister. Yes, and I'm saying that very slowly because in my Christian rock voice, I watched my sister turn quickly into my enemy. But anyway, that's a different episode. This happened to me, and I instantly, I was awake. I could not move my body, but my mind was awake, right? This is what is called sleep paralysis. I instantly just start praying to the Most High. I'm like, I'm okay. Everything's okay. Most High, I know you protect me. Just please get me out of this. I know, but you know what I mean? Like, I just start pleading to the Most High. Like, I don't know what's going on here, but I need some milk. And eventually it stopped. I wasn't really afraid, to be honest with you. Like, I wasn't like, oh my goodness, I'm dying or I'm dead, or I don't know. How do people feel whenever that happens? Like, I don't know the freak out mechanism that people go through when that happens. But I know for myself, I start praying. And it stopped eventually, and I went back to sleep. So like I said, I wasn't that afraid, but I do remember that specifically happening when I was younger. And next bullet point. any type of unexplained sickness, and we kind of went over this earlier in the bullet points, but any type of unexplained sickness. I've had a lot of illnesses in my childhood specifically. I'm not really going to reach too far, but just know that your girl was always at the hospital, and the hospital, the mother, they didn't know what to do. They didn't. I had skin conditions. My lower half of my body was always in some sort of kerfuffle, some sort of something. My stomach was messed up. A lot. And I remember when I was younger too, one time my mother said, you always have some sort of medical illness. Like, you're that child. And I was like, well, you act like I'm doing it on purpose. Like, dang. Mind you, I was under the bitch was attacking me. So yeah. Struggling to walk into your calling, or struggling to maintain walking in your calling, is also a sign that you are under spiritual attack. Any sort of disruptions or distractions that are keeping you. I know when I first started my journey, I was still very much in I want to be around people. I want to hang out with people phase. I don't want to be by myself. Like, I don't want people to think that I think that I'm better than them. So I'm going to go to the bars and I'm going to drink still. And I'm still going to hang out with siblings, and I'm still going to smoke with them. I don't think I'm better than them. I still love them. I was very much in that kind of very unwise, and it's crazy how the Most High really works, right? Because I had a dream. I wouldn't say dream, because I really don't dream too often, but that's a different video. But I kind of have like these, I don't want to say premonitions, I kind of have like these downloads. I call them downloads. And like, I'll be sitting and I'll be like, let's say I'm preparing for this episode, and next thing you know, like, I'll just hear something, or I'll see something, or and I get this download, or I'll hear this download, or I'll see this download. So it's kind of like a projection of something. And it literally was like, if you continue to associate yourself with your siblings, okay? But I always hung out a lot with my two younger siblings who were, of course, a part of attacking me spiritually. My entire family was, but my other siblings are a tad older than I am, and they also they weren't living around me. So we didn't hang out like that. I think my older sister is like maybe 40 something, or maybe even older than that. I don't know. I can't tell you. But nonetheless, she's like 8, maybe 10 years older than me maximum. I don't know. But I literally heard, like, if you continue to hang or associate with these energies, you will reap what they sow. Like, what I have coming for them is coming for you if you continue to stay around them. And I'm like, okay, like, I get it. But then I start trying to be like, okay, well, if I only hang out with them during the day, whatever's coming for them is not going to come for me. It's during the day. Like, I don't know why I thought that extremely silly thing. It was extremely silly, right, of me to do that, to think that, or to feel that way. But the Most High very much works in amazing ways. Like, they are awesome. Like, shout out to them. Okay. My youngest kid, one day was like, Mom, what are you doing? You can't hang. Now, he calls my younger sister Ani. He says, you can't hang with Ani. What are you doing? And I was like, what are you talking about? And he's like, you promised. He starts busting out crying. Now, mind you, I made a promise to the mom. I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to do it. And I didn't promise him anything. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to listen. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to. And it's like, he's like, you promised me. And he starts crying, and like, I start busting out crying. And then I just ended up leaving. Like, and she calls me and she's like, is everything okay? And I'm like, yeah. Like, I didn't even know how to feel about the situation, because it's like, how did my son even know anything about this? Like, that's literally, it was just so crazy. I wish I could show y'all. The way I explained it probably was really terrible. But it's like, I got this download. I convinced myself, for some reason, if I hang out with her during the daytime, then nothing would happen to me. The next maybe like 2 days after I got the download, my younger kid was like, "Mom, what are you doing? You can't be here. Like, what are you like?" And then I start freaking out. And then I was like, "Oh yeah. Oh yeah. How you know?" Like it was the Most High doing their thing like always. And while I associating myself with my younger siblings or with these energies that the Most High is warning me against, it's like I'm regressing back to my old ways. So I'm back to smoking, I'm back to drinking, I'm back to cussing, I'm just doing, I'm not living intentionally. You know what I'm saying? Like I have no intention with myself when I'm around these energies that don't have any good, that don't want any good for me, right? So very much a huge distraction on my part. And the very last bullet point that I have on this list is lack in finances. I'm at this big old age, lacking in finances. Now, mind you guys, I'm very much talented. I'm very skilled in a lot of different areas in my life. And it may be because I was always in isolation. So I was always finding stuff to do to preoccupy my time. I remember one time I was at my aunt's house when I was younger, and there was absolutely nothing to do. I got on the computer and I start teaching myself all of the bones inside of the body. Like I've always been the type to like go and find something to do. And living in my mother's house, we didn't really have internet. We didn't have the resources and the stuff that we have today. Even if we did, it's not like I most definitely did not have access to like my older brother would always sneak and get on the computer or get on and watch TV and do stuff like that. And they all had phones and they were doing stuff, but I most definitely wasn't doing any of those things. And I would just go teach myself how to do stuff. I taught myself how to sew. I taught myself how to do my nails. Don't look at them right now because they look crazy. We're gonna talk about it later date. I taught myself a lot of stuff. Okay, I taught myself how to do hair. Taught myself how to do makeup. Taught myself all of these things. YouTube University for sure. I graduate. I'm damn near a teacher at this point. I'm about to sign up to be a teacher. But for some reason, no matter how much I taught myself, no matter how good I was at the thing that I taught myself, I could not create any sort of revenue from it. Even if I marketed myself, it was like people would love my work. They're like, "Oh my goodness, it looks so good." Rada, 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 rada. But nobody ever wanted to pay me. Nobody ever wanted to invest in me in that way. Only my family would, I would do something for my family and they wouldn't want to pay me. Only one person. And I call her the gatekeeper because she was like the fairies that watched over she watched over me just to make sure. What is it called? Who is that? What's the princess that pricks her finger on the thingy? Yeah, that one. She had those 3 fairy ladies that watched over her until she became of age, right? But she would pay me, but it still was bare minimum. It wasn't what I deserved. It was just something to make it look like, oh, I'm doing more than what they're doing, so you're going to always come back over here. You know what I mean? It's very deep. We're going to get more into it, but my finances always lack. They always have lacked my entire life, no matter how hard I worked. I've always been a worker bee. I've been working since I was 16. I got pregnant at 17. I even overexerted myself to the point where it's like I'm exhausted. My first kid didn't even know who I was for real whenever I first had him, because I worked so much. Like I just was always trying to make a dollar, and the dollars were never never accounted for. Okay, they were never freaking around. So I can't say that my lack of finances is due because of laziness